This episode is sponsored by Torn Sports, and they are calling all pro footballers as this one's specifically for you. Torn Sports have just dropped their brand new bespoke grip socks, and trust me, these are next level. You can customise everything from your sock heights to initials, even your club logo. And if you're not a fan of grip socks, no problem, they'll remove the grips for you. It's your sock and your style. These are elite quality, and right now they're exclusive just for pros. Comment below if you want in, or give us a message on our socials. The link is in the description. Welcome back to Ball Talk with me, Lewis Bryon, and today I'm joined as usual by striker for St Albans, Ken Charles. Ken, today we're going to talk levels, okay? So you're obviously playing for St Albans, National League South.
Yep.
Yeah? What level do you think you could play at right now, today?
Today?
Be honest, you don't have to be no humble king.
Football's an interesting one. Like, there'll be like you could get players playing at a very high level if you just drop them 3 leagues below. They wouldn't stand out.
Yeah.
And then the other way around, you'd get players that would go up and fit in fine. I genuinely think if I went champ, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You reckon?
It's much tougher to climb the ladder and get there. But I think if like in another universe, me, same attributes, same player was just plugged into a champ team.
Yeah, like this weekend you go play for a champ team, you'd be good.
Okay, that's a bit different because it's like if you have to get up to speed and stuff, like fitness wise, because the game's way more intense. I wouldn't be as fit today as a championship player, but if I went into a championship squad, trained for 3 weeks, I don't think they'd be looking at me and saying, "Who's this guy? Like he shouldn't be here."
So what would then be the reason in terms of not being hard to do that in the Prem? Because you obviously capped yourself there at champ today.
Yeah, I think.
Would that be more fitness again, do you think?
I think it'd be fitness first, but again, that comes.
Yeah.
If you trained with a Prem team for 4 weeks, you'd get the fitness. I think the Prem, that's
the best of the best.
It's just the best of the best, isn't it? It's the best in the world. Literally, all the best players in the world come there, and
I suppose it's hard to know sometimes.
It's hard to know for sure. I mean, it's hard to know. I've seen, a lot of EFL teams and players close hand, train with them a lot close hand, but I haven't had Prem players that I've trained with or anything like that. So it is hard to say, and I wouldn't be naive enough to just sit here and say I could go to Arsenal tomorrow and be calm. Like the intensity would be a lot.
Yeah,
and also the talent would be something that probably I haven't seen.
Yeah,
you can't second guess that.
Yeah, for sure. And so it seems like from what you're saying, it's almost there's a few players that could get dropped in a few leagues above and be fine, but the actual hard thing is the process of standing out week in, week out to then get noticed and get moved up.
That's definitely the hardest bit, because to move up, like you said, unless you're like 17, 18, at those ages, a couple of games, and then because you're young, you'll just get scouted and you'll jump.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're in your 20s and stuff, you need to now have like a really consistent season where you're performing week in, week out and better in the level you're playing at.
Just to jump up one league.
Just to jump up one league, really, sometimes, and then got to rinse and repeat and do it again. So it's tougher to do the climb, and loads of factors affect that. For example, one thing a lot of footballers will know is that depending on what type of player you are, you could be suited to different leagues. So a lot of ball-playing footballers struggle the lower they go down. I know some really good players that the way football's played in, let's say, the National League South, the National League, even League Two, it's tough for them. Like you'd see them doing stuff in training and you'd say, this is like an unreal player. And then come match day, they just look okay because the game isn't
suited to their attributes. Yeah.
But if they went 2-3 leagues higher, they'd be fine. Like,
I think that's a sign. Like people always, that's a sign of a good player. Like if your game increases, like the level you're playing at increases, the higher level you play at.
Yeah.
Then that shows a good player.
Definitely. And that then makes it tougher for those players though to do the climb, because you have to stand out where you're playing anyways. You have to adapt to a different type of
It's not
game.
like, right, just give me a chance up there. I promise.
Yeah.
Promise I'm good.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Which could be the case. But,
but you have to earn it. So
that's the thing. It's like, so you can basically just get trapped in an environment that does suit you when you're actually suited to a higher level. It's mad.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And you'll have players that really excel in the lower leagues, but clubs won't really be interested in to them, interested in them, because they can tell that their attributes are just suited to the lower
That
leagues.
level.
Whereas a player who's suited to the higher leagues, he needs to find a way to just stand out, because if he does, people will see the potential he has.
Yeah. Do you think there's a lot of non-league, National League players that you know that could play in the Champ and Prem?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not talking like could play in the future if they improve. Like I'm talking could play now.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, of course. Not okay. Let's not like make it look like half the National League or half like National League South. No, definitely not. But in each team, you'd see one or two players that definitely have the talent, definitely have the ability, and at the end of the day, football is just so competitive. At the end of the day, the players playing in these leagues didn't just come from the streets, you know what I mean? They've all been in academies, they've all had the same sort of football foundations. So they are good players, but there's a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of good players, and because of that, there's a lot of luck involved. Like literally.
That's it. Sorry, that's it. When people say, right, you've got to be lucky to be a footballer, it's almost, or like to be at the high level. It's almost like puts a slight on you don't have to be good, but it's the opposite, because there's so many good players.
The opposite.
It's like there's so many people at a high level. The way they choose, there's sometimes there might have to be an injury, or you might have to be in a certain place at the right moment with a certain manager. Like that's what the luck means. It doesn't mean I'm not good at football and I've got there somehow.
Absolutely, you have to be very good.
Yeah.
And then you have to have a bit of luck. Something goes for you. Someone's injured on a day, and then you play it and you have a good game, and that's the day that someone's watching you that changes your life. Like you need things to go your way, and a lot of things can go against you because of just how many good players there are. But definitely, there's players that can play a lot higher than the level they play at.
Yeah, for sure. If I mention these leagues, so National League South, National League, League One, League Two, Champ, right? What do you think out of them is the biggest jump in terms of level between two leagues? Obviously, just one jump up.
I'd say League Two to League One's a fairly big jump.
Really? So I've obviously never played in league, but I would have thought League Two and League One are the closest.
No, League Two and National League are the closest. They're pretty much interchangeable.
Same, yeah.
Yeah. And then League One becomes a bit... And even then, though, it's like the bottom end of League One isn't too far away from the National League, but the top end of League One becomes serious teams. But then League One's a jump.
Yeah.
Big jump.
I think that's a big jump, yeah.
Yeah, and then Champ to Prem's a huge jump.
Yeah, in a completely different way as well.
Yeah,
it almost just changes the style of football.
Yeah. So it's hard to say which one's one, but like I can tell you which ones aren't. Like they're pretty close.
Which is League Two?
League Two and National League, I'd say.
Yeah.
It might be the smallest jump in the whole pyramid.
Yeah. So does that make... Because I've always heard as well from a lot of friends that play in the National League that it's one of the hardest leagues to get out of as a team. Do you think that's the case?
As a team, because there's one automatic promotion and then the rest is playoffs. So I think that actually
and they bounce back a lot sometimes.
I think that makes the league that much more competitive because top teams don't get out. Like we saw even just a couple of years ago, Wrexham was stuck in there, Notts County was stuck in there. So it keeps the level mad high. Like if this season, if like 3 teams could go up, then that would be 3 top teams out of the National League. And there's a lot of teams in League Two at the bottom end that are nowhere near like the top 5 in the National League, but they won't get relegated because only 2 come down. Yeah, it's true. So that does keep the level, the quality a lot higher.
Yeah. So what is you mentioned National League, League Two are similar, and then it's a jump to League One. What is the actual quality jump? Like what's going up? Fitness, technique?
I mean, the fitness goes up in all the leagues, but I don't think there's any league where like the fitness becomes like night and day, the jump. I think they just go
the probably biggest jump of fitness is probably Champ to Prem.
Yeah, potentially. But even then, I think...
Like I always see Champ teams in the Prem when they first come up and they've not been in there for a couple of seasons. They look off the pace.
Yeah, that could... Yeah. But I think that's every league. Every level of pyramid, when you jump, there's going to be an increase in fitness and physicality needed. I don't think there's any like jump that's night and day, but that's normal. I'd say, okay, so League Two to League One. I think League Two down, depending on the team, like some teams really play and play good football, but I'd say the average team in League Two, the average team in the National League, the average team in the National League South is playing a bit more scrappy, playing off second balls, not really playing out from the keeper and that kind of stuff. Whereas in League One, I'd say a lot of the teams start to try and play the right way of playing football.
Yeah.
And then you start to see some ballers in League One.
Yeah, to me, that tells me that the managers trust the players' ability more in terms of playing out.
That's what it is, because even in the National League South, in the National League, there are a lot of teams that do it.
They might have tried it,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the players are good enough. It's just whether the manager's brave enough to trust them. Because once the players do it, like in our league, the best teams play.
Yeah.
The teams that are challenging for the title, they play. The rest of them, it's almost like safety to say, like, let's not go down that route. We could, because the players are like good enough too, but like
if it goes wrong, then it's almost like automatic down.
Basically. Whereas it's easier to just justify being a bit more like, okay, we'll play in the opposition half rather than try and play through the thirds.
It could be the lower quality of managers as well, not being able to.
I think it's more that, definitely.
Not knowing how to get their team playing.
I think that's a huge thing, because as much as the players, we talk about the difference in level, I think the difference in the managers is probably bigger.
Yeah.
The jump in terms of the quality of the managers.
That's the hardest thing to do as a manager, to get your team playing like actually playing football. It's so hard to do. People don't realise.
Oh yeah, it requires so much. You have to get all the patterns going.
Yeah.
Like you have to. It's not just tell the players to go and play. Like you have to set it up, and they're not as good at doing that.
Yeah, for sure. I did have a question from a listener on this topic. So they basically said or asked, are most League Two players actually better than National League players, or are they just better known? I suppose we've covered a bit, but
okay. So League Two and National League, I wouldn't say that. I'd say pretty level.
Pretty level, yeah.
They'd be more known because of the EFL.
Yeah.
Just because they have that EFL.
Bit more coverage.
There's more coverage in the EFL than National League.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say on average they're better.
Yeah. Okay. Has there ever been any games or training where you've tested yourself or played against people with a lot higher level? Like, for example, you're in the National League South, you've trained against a League One player, Championship player, and sort of what was your thoughts on it, if you have?
I mean, obviously, when you play football, especially in the off season, you train with loads of groups, and the groups will be like from champ down to step 4. Like it's just a group of players that want to get a session on. So I've definitely like trained with some top players, Championship, League One, League Two, all the way down as well below me and stuff. And you know, I obviously back myself, so I've never really trained with any. Like I train with players and I can say this is a good player, but I haven't trained with anyone personally where I'm like,
I'm levels off this.
Yeah, I can't chat to that. I see players and I can see they've got attributes that I don't have in a different way, but then I'll have attributes that they don't have. So it depends. But one thing is you can see like the professionalism and the standards are higher. The higher the
standards they hold themselves to.
Yeah,
100%. That's what I noticed.
Yeah, that's a given. Yeah. Like the higher the player plays, just the basics are always right. The standards they hold themselves to are right. Less mistakes. Obviously, the intensity they play at. I guess that's on an individual level. When you play like against a team, like I remember when we was at Kings Lynn, we had a cup run and we went to the second round of the FA Cup and then we played Stevenage. And the first 45 minutes, tight game, there wasn't much in it. Second half, within 10 minutes, they just turned it on and it was 3-0. So
there you see like, right, we can't compete with this team.
Yes, they were seasoned.
If they're on it, we don't really have a
basically
option.
The first half, I assumed they come. We was obviously completely on it, like maxed out.
Yeah,
they're kind of like they're on it, but
it's not their max.
They're at 75%, 80%. Probably gone in at half time. Manager said, "Look, it's 0-0. You're playing a team in the National League North. Like, he's probably had a go at them, whatever." Second half, they've actually turned it on now, and within 10 minutes, the game is out of sight. So you can see it. You can see the levels, especially when you compare teams, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. And just on what you said about the standards, that's one of the first things I noticed when I first went into Palace. And I went from, obviously, the academy to then the under-18s. to the under 21s and then to the first team. Like the standards the players hold themselves to just goes up and up and up, little by little until you get to 21s to first team, and then once you hit the first team players, like the standards they hold themselves to, forget ability and all that stuff, it's just 10 times higher than what the 21s will hold.
Yeah.
Like never miss a pre-ab session, always doing proper recovery after, eating right, like everything's dialed in. Whereas you see the boys like who are trying to be in their position, and they're like fucking getting Domino's for dinner, and then they're like having a fuck about doing some other stuff they shouldn't be doing, or they're late to the gym, and it's just like you're trying to get to where they are, and you can't even match what they're doing. You got to better it.
Yeah, that's why when people talk about the luck we were saying earlier on,
and that's
there's
away
a lot
from
of
ability
luck,
as well.
but there's a lot of you can control. As a minimum, you've got to be holding yourself to a mad high standard because of how competitive it is. Because there's so many good players where ability-wise you can't differentiate too much. You have to hold yourself to like a really high standard in every department if you want a chance, if you even want just a chance.
Yeah, exactly that. Because a lot of these players, when you're a 21 to first team, they'll be better than you technically, physically.
More experience as well.
More experience, like, so if you're not even going to at least match their standards, you've got no chance.
You got no chance.
We're obviously talking about levels, right? I just want to do a quick overrated or underrated with you. So with some strikers who are obviously in the top leagues, and some defenders, because you're obviously a striker, who you come up against. So just one word: overrated or underrated.
There's no there's no in the middle, like rated.
Okay, you can, but you can if you want. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Havertz.
Okay, this one depends on who we're talking about: Arsenal fans or outside.
No, but I'm asking you.
Oh, me?
So Havertz as a striker, overrated or underrated? Like in general. I know I just got what you meant there, but yeah, in general.
Overrated.
Overrated?
Yeah.
Okay. Mateta?
I think Mateta's ratings are like bang on. I think he's just decent, isn't he?
Yeah, okay. Delap?
Ooh.
He's underrated for me, man.
Underrated. I think the ratings are coming up now. People talk about him, but underrated, yeah.
And last striker, Højlund for United.
I'd say overrated, but again, people are understanding now that he's not of that standard.
Yeah.
So,
is he not though? I think he's just not shown it. I don't think. I think he is. I think he's there.
What, Man United? It depends what Man United are, isn't it? This is the tough thing with Man United. If we're talking about Man United of old, then no. If we're talking about Man United right now, then yeah, he's good enough.
Yeah, but I think he's better than what he's shown at United.
That as well.
Lindelof.
Overrated.
Dan Burn.
Underrated.
Yeah, fair play.
That's good, yeah.
Two more. Mark Gay.
Underrated.
Underrated. Really?
Yeah. What are you saying? Overrated?
I'd really rate him, but I think everyone just screams about him at the moment, like especially after the England game.
Yeah. There was a hype after the England, to be fair. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Diaz, last one.
Ruben Diaz.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm gonna say overrated.
Yeah.
I think he's really good.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he's been put on a higher pedestal than he is.
He could chat to Van Dijk.
Like he can't chat to Van Dijk. I don't think he can chat to Saliba. But he was talked about as if he could.
Yeah.
But he's still very good.
Okay, so I've given you the options there. Now, can you name one Prem player that's massively, in your opinion, massively overrated or underrated?
Massively underrated.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Do you?
Ollie Watkins.
No, I wasn't going to say Ollie Watkins because I don't think he's underrated.
No, yeah,
I think
he's fairly rated.
I think he's rated. I'll go. People are starting to rate him, but I'm going to say
Elanga, yeah. As underrated. Yeah, that's a good shout, man.
Like up until literally recently.
I'm probably one of them people.
Yeah. I think he's good.
Yeah.
Overrated. Ooh, without an option. It sounds like drawing someone out. Like
you don't have to do it. You can be the nice guy.
No, if I think of one, I would say it.
Underrated. I'll do mine. I don't know why, but the first person that comes to mind is Odegaard. Just being an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
Like people talk. He's so fucking good, mate.
On this one, Odegaard is so underrated he's underrated by other fans, but he's starting to become ridiculously underrated by Arsenal fans.
Yeah.
He's not been at his best this season. There's no doubt about that. But if you're questioning the ability he has and what he can do when he's ticking, then I'm sorry, you haven't got a clue about football. He's a magician.
Yeah.
And some of the things he does, some of the pictures he sees, the way he can get Arsenal playing when he's playing, you're not going to find better than that. Like, people are talking like we can just go and sign someone. We're not. There's no one out there.
There isn't anyone out there. I promise you.
Million.
Yeah. Well, even that, like,
we can talk about your Jude Bellingham. Like, those are the people you have to talk about if you want to.
And still, they offer something slightly different.
Slightly different, but you're not signing Jude Bellingham. You're not gonna Bruno Fernandes. You're not gonna sign Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
You're not gonna sign like Cole So then, who else do you want? Like, I don't see anyone that can.
Yeah. And away from his affecting a game, it's also like captaincy, young age. Like, he's obviously trusted by Arteta. He's been captain for what, 2-3 years now?
Yeah.
At such a young age of one of the top teams in England.
He's underrated massively.
Yeah.
Massively.
That's what I want.
Overrated.
You don't have to give one if you can't think.
I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, we'll leave that overrated because we're nice guys. So we just went over a few Prem players there.
Yeah.
Are there any Prem centre-backs, you being a striker, that you think couldn't handle you?
Couldn't handle me?
Yeah.
That's a crazy statement.
Or
like,
that you could get, like, you could have some success against?
I think any immobile centre-half.
Immobile?
Yeah. The less mobile ones, I'd have success. The difference is, though, like...
There'll be someone mobile around them.
Well, firstly that, but like, let's assume there's not. To play in the Prem as a centre half and be immobile, up there you have to be a joke.
Yeah.
Because they're dealing with strikers more mobile than me, and they're all right. They're not getting found out week in, week out. So I'd be stupid to come here and say, like, if I played against Harry Maguire, it'd be like
It's finished.
No, there's a reason he can deal with Premier League razor sharp strikers on a week in, week out
sometimes
basis.
Deal with them.
He's had his off part, but for the majority of his career, he has done, which is why he's there. So like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, like, Dan Burn, I'd rinse, or like Harry Maguire, but I'd have
better success against them players.
Potentially, yes.
Than someone like who's like a bit more mobile, pacier.
I mean, when you look at the top centre halves, your likes of Saliba, Van Dijk and stuff, the reason they're so good is because they haven't got a weakness.
Yeah.
You're not going to outrun them. You're not going to out-muscle them. You're not going to or you could outthink them if your movement's good and stuff. That's basically what you rely on. You have to be sharper up there.
So let me word it slightly different. So if you were playing a game tomorrow and you had to score a certain amount of goals to sign your Premier League contract, right? What two Premier League centre-back partnership do you choose to play against? That sort
would
of
have
we
to be
both
like
know.
Southampton's.
Yeah, but that I'd know their name straight away. I don't want like the Southampton bench centre-back.
No, I wasn't saying bench. Like, they're starting. Like, this. To be fair, I don't know who starts for Southampton. A centre-back, you know.
Yeah, no, I don't. So we have to know them. We have to know them.
Okay. I'd go, you know what? Kivior's changed my mind in the last 3-4 games where he's played. Otherwise, before the time, I would have said it, Kivior. Yeah, before.
Are you saying him now then, or not?
I'd still say him now, but like I'm saying him less confidently than before. I would have said, Kivior.
So
Kivior.
Who's next to him? That if Kivior's handling you can just go on to. Would you not pick like a young centre half who's like up? What about like someone, the Chelsea boys? You don't think so? I suppose they're both good.
Levi Colwill.
You reckon?
I mean, Trevor Chalobah's decent.
Bit more physical,
very
probably.
Decent. Like that. That's not. You're not licking your lips facing him. Who else plays for them?
What about like
that's hosting.
Yeah. What about like a Mazraoui or like a Martinez? Yeah.
I think I could get in his head.
Yeah.
He'd get sent off. He'd get sent off. Like, I think I could get him sent off.
So we'll go Martinez and
Martinez
Kivior.
and then Kivior. Then
yeah. They're both not the biggest as well.
No.
Yeah.
Especially Martinez. So.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Right. Let's go back onto sort of non-league, national league around that area.
Yeah.
Who would you say is the biggest baller in non-league or national league right now?
What, in my league or in the National League as a whole, or
from National League down, National League Prem down? You can say yourself if you want.
Okay, I'll go our league because that's obviously what I've seen. Probably the best player we've played against this season would be Charlie Carter at Dorking.
Okay. What stood out about him?
just ran it, isn't it? Midfielder.
Yeah.
But box to box, good on the ball, can dribble, can shoot, good passing range. Pretty much dictates how they play. But really good dribbler for a midfielder.
Yeah. Do you think like someone like that then it's almost it's harder for him to stand out and go climb up the levels as a midfielder who's dictating it, or do you think he's standing out so much that he doesn't need the numbers to climb up?
Yeah, so he would need to do what he's been doing, which is dominate games week in, week out to stand up. It's not stats for him, really. I mean, his stats, I think, are decent. I don't know too much exactly, but
that's not his
as
game.
A midfielder, it's not. Yeah, he would have to basically run games week in, week out. I think he has played higher. He's come down a bit, and he'll probably go back up. But those are players that, like, just exemplify how tough it is to move up, because he shouldn't be playing in the National League South.
Yeah,
like no way.
I mean, we spoke about good players getting trapped before.
Yeah,
it can so easily happen
for him to be in the National League South at all. So that's just off the top of my head.
Yeah, nice. Okay, any others?
Danny Cashman at Worthing, good player.
Yeah,
good player. More of a 10. Carter's more of a centre midfielder. He's more of a 10. So him, yeah.
Okay.
Both of them would be good players in the leagues above, I think.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll finish off with this, right? So, obviously, we said at the start, you reckon Championship, that was what comes to mind. Yeah. I just want to paint the realistic picture in terms of like how hard that is. So what would you realistically, you're 25 now, right?
I'm 24.
24?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. 24. How would you actually, what would the process be of you having to get to the Championship realistically, do you think? Because it's not going to be, like you said, 3 weeks.
No, of course not.
From National League South to Championship.
Yeah, I guess, okay, as a striker, it's tough because you're judged so strictly on goals, but then at the same time, that can be your route up. If you score goals, you move. It's as
doesn't matter what else you're doing.
It doesn't matter how bad you're playing, how good you're playing, whatever. Like, you'd rather be shit every week and scoring than bossing it and not scoring.
Yeah.
So as a striker, like, one good season and you can jump 2 leagues, and then it's just rinse and repeat. So like it's definitely been done. Like, I remember.
But sorry, so I can break the process down.
Yeah.
One good season, what is that? Like if you had a season that could potentially jump you up 2 leagues, what would you have to do in that season?
You'd have to score 20 goals plus.
Yeah.
20 goals plus, and you could go League 2 from the National League South, for example, or as a minimum.
Really? I thought that'd be a tough ask. 20 goals and you jump 2 leagues.
No, it's doable. Depending on the type of player you are.
Yeah. So and the opportunities come in as well.
Yeah. It's definitely doable. Or as a minimum, you'd go to like let's say a top end National League team.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to do it again.
So 2 seasons technically.
You'd need 2 seasons. The luck you can have as well is if you play for a team that gets promoted.
Yeah.
So if you play for a team that gets promoted,
skip the queue.
Basically, you start skipping queues and stuff. So it happens. I'm not like.
So next season, right? Let's just say you're at St Albans still. I don't know your situation there, but you score 25 goals.
Right.
You jump up to League 2.
Right.
And then you score 25. Do you reckon 25 goals from League 2 you go to Champ? That does not sound right to me.
Okay, I'll give. It depends on what your.
Has any player ever done that?
Last season, Macaulay Langstaff went straight from Notts County to Millwall.
Really?
Yeah.
Notts County.
So he scored.
Notts County in what though?
So
League
he scored. It depends on what type of player you are in the track. No, they're in League 2. The track record. So he scored 40 goals in the National League.
Yeah.
And they got promoted.
Okay.
League 2.
40.
Yeah, he scored 40 goals.
Yeah,
40 something. Something ridiculous. No penalties either.
And he stayed at that club?
Stayed at Notts County because they won the league and got promoted. I think they gave him a big contract.
Yeah.
So he stayed in League 2. Top scorer in League 2. They didn't get promoted. Millwall signed him. Championship.
So he's skipped League 1.
He's skipped League 1.
Does he start for Millwall?
He starts enough. Like he's a championship player.
Yeah,
He's established a championship. So that's the luck a striker can have. You can definitely skip queues in a way that other positions
from one
can't.
standout season.
Like I don't know how as a centre back that could happen.
It couldn't.
Like,
it couldn't. I'm telling you,
unreal. Like I don't really know how it can happen.
Yeah, I think like if you have the ability as a centre back, holding midfielder, someone like that,
yeah,
it's Like if you have the ability to play, let's say champ Prem, I think you shouldn't have been down there in the first place.
That's true, because the attributes are very sort of apparent. Like
Younger, when you're younger as well.
Yeah, if you're good on the ball as a centre back, you stand out.
Yeah.
If you can dictate play, like in possession, you stand out. If you've got the physical attributes, because that's a big thing for a centre back, for example, you stand out. So
reading the game, stuff like that.
yeah, like from a striker's perspective,
See, it's easier to drop down the leagues, I think, but it's easier to go back up.
Yeah, for sure. But even just on centre backs, like if I see a physically commanding centre back, I almost assume he's not going to be good.
Yeah,
and that's usually correct, because he shouldn't be at this
so
level.
True.
If I see a centre back 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", my thought process is you can't be that good, because you shouldn't be here.
Yeah, if you have any technical ability, you'd be higher.
As a minimum, yeah, of course. So from that perspective, you're right. You should probably have stood out more younger if you have the attributes as a centre back.
Yeah.
But look, there's some really good centre backs in non-league as well, but yeah, they wouldn't be able to jump in the way that a striker could. That's probably the only position where you can be jumping like that.
Yeah.
But that's far easier said than done. Like,
of course, yeah.
Winning golden boots and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll leave it there.